Hey everybody, my name's Breanne. I'm an alcoholic. Um, Grateful to be here tonight. My sobriety date is November 8th, 2018. My home group is the Awakenings group in Columbia, South Carolina, where I live. We meet 7 days a week at 7 a.m. I do not go there every day at 7 a.m. But when I was in the first couple years of my sobriety, it was really important for me to have somewhere to go. I went there a lot of days early on in sobriety. It was a great way to start my day. And I do have a sponsor, and I sponsor other women. Um, and Thanks, Karthik, for asking me to speak tonight. Um, Little disclaimer that I am a verbal processor, which means I have to talk to think. So I often have no idea what's going to come out of my mouth and what we're all, me included, going to learn about me tonight. So uh, just throwing that out there. Um, I wanted to talk a minute too about my experience with YPAW. I'm not your typical YPAW person. I didn't start drinking until I was like 30, and I'm coming up on 40 pretty quickly. So I love how this meeting talks about we are people who, a young person is anybody who has growing left to do, because that is definitely me. Um, I got involved, so shameless plug here. SCCYPAA, the South Carolina Conference for Young People in AA. It's being held in Columbia, South Carolina, in a couple weeks, or a few weeks, November 14th through 16th. So coming up quick. Would love to see you guys here. Um, we The way that I got involved, literally, I showed up at a committee meeting earlier this year and was immediately put in charge of something. So now I am on the committee and really excited about this event. I had never been to a YPAW conference before this year. Um, and it is a ton of fun. If you've never been, it is a lot of fun. Um it it was different than I was expecting. But if you've never been, I highly recommend it. And there are YPOC conferences that happen um all over the world, really, but all over the US all the time. So just look it up. It's been a lot of fun. It's been fun to go around and get to know people. um I had a sponsor that I was complaining to. It was a while back. I was complaining to my sponsor that I was like, I don't feel like I have friends in AA. I don't feel like I have, people that I hang out with, or a bunch of people that I know in AA. And these other friends that I have all of these friends in AA, and I don't know why they know so many people and I don't. And she told me, she was like, you know why they know people, right? It's because they're involved in service. They're involved in doing things with AA. And I have definitely found that to be true, that when I am involved in service, when I am involved in things like this Sticky Paw committee, I I get the chance to get to know people. Um, I get the chance to have more friends in recovery, more people in my network. When I go to these conferences, I get to hear some pretty cool experience from other people. And um, and so it really is true that it gets me service, and getting involved gets me in the middle of the herd, and that's what I need. I need the community that I find here in AA. And um doing doing service also is really challenging. There are a lot of different uh, ideas, perspectives, personalities, and that's a little bit of what I wanted to talk about tonight. Um, I heard somebody say once that if you like everybody at the meetings you go to, then you probably haven't been to enough meetings. And I find that that's true. And AA is the community of AA is the training ground for me on how to deal with people and to deal with life. And I am with a bunch of other people who are practicing these same principles, who are trying to live um, in a spiritual experience, a spiritual awakening. They're trying to live connected to a power greater than themselves and to a community. And and so this is the training ground where I get to learn with you guys how to function in the world. Um, and that kind of goes a little bit into what I wanted to talk about tonight. I um, I wanted to talk about the traditions. We read these traditions, or at least I read these. I hear these traditions at every meeting that I go to, and it really took me a while to figure them out, to understand what they were, why they were important, and what they could mean to me. Um, the 12 steps teach me how to how to get sober, how to live a sane, um, happy life. The 12 steps ultimately connect me to a power greater than myself. That's the whole purpose of the steps. Lack of power was my dilemma. Couldn't stop drinking, and needed a power greater than myself. And the purpose of the steps is to connect me with that power, to clean up my past, to help me keep my present clean, and to stay in contact with that higher power. The um the traditions teach me how to function in the community of AA. Um and where it got really powerful for me when I started looking at traditions was when I realized that it was not just like I could take the traditions into any community that I was a part of. Like this training ground in AA, I do learn how to practice those principles that are found in the traditions, and I can take them out into any community that I'm part of, into my family, into my workplace, into, just the human race. As a member of the human race, I can apply those traditions outside of this community of AA. And that's where I really have found them to be meaningful. Let me give you an example. Um, the uh, the tradition about primary purpose, and I'll let's see. Each group has but one primary purpose: to carry its message to the alcoholic who still suffers. So, the way that I apply that to my life, I think about any situation that I go to, any community that I go into. I think about my primary purpose for being there. Um, if there is any question, if there's ever any question about what my primary purpose for being somewhere is, um, the big book tells me that my job as a person in recovery now is to be at a place where I can be of maximum helpfulness, maximum service to God and the people around me. And so, if there's any question as to what my primary purpose is, that's it. But I can get more specific. We've got the holidays coming up, so I'm gonna go spend some time with family. I know that I know that none of y'all ever find that difficult to spend time with family. Um, I it is a difficult it is difficult for me to spend time with my family. So I I look at my primary purpose for going into time with my family. And a lot of that is to promote harmony and peace, um, and to be loving, to do no harm. And so that is when I want to make sure all of my activities when I go into a situation with my family support that primary purpose of love and peace and harmony. So when my dad starts talking about politics, it is not going to, at least for me, it is not going to support my primary purpose for me to engage in that conversation with him, because that is not going to promote peace and harmony and my primary purpose for being with my family. So and I can take that into my workplace as well. My primary purpose is to be of service to my coworkers, to um, you know, do an honest day's work for my employer, and I can make sure that my uh, activities are supporting that primary purpose. So that's one way. That's just example of how I apply the traditions to my everyday life. Um, and I wanted to talk too about this idea of anonymity. Anonymity as the spiritual foundation of all of our traditions. Um, it took me a while to understand what anonymity was as well, because there are a couple parts to being anonymous. Um, there's the part that I don't get to tell anybody that you were here. I can say that I was here, but I can't say that you were here. Um, and what is it? What we say here, who you see here, what you hear here, let it stay here, here, all of that. Um, and that creates a safe space for us. Um, and that's really important. Um, the other part of that, so definitions of the word anonymous. Um, One definition is like being unidentified, not being known by your name, and that's what I just described. But then there's this other aspect of anonymity, of being anonymous, that it's like having, not being unremarkable, being not being outstanding, not being individual, not being unusual, um just being one of many. And that definition of anonymity has totally revolutionized the way that I look at myself and other people. Um because when I come in here, well, my inclination is to always put myself on some imaginary ladder of worth. I want to, I'm going to compare myself to other people. Am I better than you? Am I worse than you? Am I, I am I more important than you? And the idea of anonymity really blows that out of the water and just says we are all equal. We are all on equal footing. I am just one of many. And I want to find my what I try to do is find my worth as a person in my accomplishments. And that's not where my worth is. My worth is not being one set apart and better than everybody else. It is being one as a part of the community. And it doesn't matter how long I've been sober or you've been sober. We're just alcoholics coming in here trying to live by spiritual principles one day at a time. And um and that's really what that principle of anonymity means to me. And when I look at my value as a person, I f- it's humbling. First of all, one of my major character defects is that I want to be important. I want to be special. I want to be important. And of course, there's I am an individual, and there's a tradition for that too. The tradition about being autonomous. I am an individual, um, but I really am one of the group, and just another person. Um, and it's humbling to realize that I'm not that important. Um, but it's also really a relief to realize that I'm not that important. I don't need to live up to anything. I just need to show up, be part of the group, be one of many, and that is where my value comes from. So, the traditions, both the steps and the traditions, each they all have a spiritual principle that's attached to them. And if you've never looked that up, I encourage you to look it up. Find the spiritual principle for each step and each tradition. Um, and uh, and there's a lot of literature about the traditions out there that the reason that I got so into the traditions was because there was this meeting that I went to once, and they were like, "Hey, we're doing a tradition meeting. Will you speak about the tradition?" And so I didn't know anything about the traditions, and I started researching them, and just found out how cool they are. There's a rich history, AA history, but also there's a really rich application to my own personal life for each of the traditions and every community that I'm involved in. So I think that's about all I have to say tonight. Make a topic out of whatever traditions, I guess, or whatever you guys want to talk about. So, thank you for letting me share, and I will pass.